Hey everyone, this is Jay Soloff from Investors Alley, and this is our options trade of the week. Now, this is not a trade from one of my services. This is a trade we are looking at for educational purposes only. So we are here at Market Chameleon on the unusual options volume page, which I have then sorted by volume. And as you can see, there's quite a few very active options chains trading today in some different stocks. Some of these are up here a lot recently. Support, Netflix is usually a pretty popular one. Roku. We're going to look at Zoom, which has been up here a little bit recently, 4 times out of the last 12 days here. And you can see that it has traded 64% calls, 36% puts. Typically, the more calls tends to be bullish. Now, a lot of times that's an impact from a big up day or a big down day, but today is relatively flat. So we want to dig in beneath the surface and see maybe what's going on there. 3.5 times the normal volume. So this was definitely an unusually large day for Zoom options. So here we are. I've pulled up the trades. I've sorted by quantity. See some of these block trades here, and this one right away stands out. Not necessarily. So you have to consider that already 6,000 options is a ton. But then if you consider that this is nearly a $300 stock, and look at the notional amount, we're talking about, and since this is a spread, most likely one being sold and one being bought, we're just talking about $15 million trade here. So this is obviously a big trade. Judging by the open interest, I would assume that this is a roll trade. That is, someone's closing out their 290s from September and rolling it out to December down to the 280 strike. Now, it's a little bit unusual to see it roll with the stock at 295 actually roll down in the money like this, but this could be that someone wants to have a certain delta exposure that is a certain amount, judging by this 6281, that's a very specific number. So someone probably has some kind of calculation. They're trying to get X amount of shares represented by their options trades. So some combination of quantity and in the money delta looks like it's giving them that exposure that they're looking for. The reason I think this is a sell here, it's much closer to the bid price here. This is much closer to the ask price. So most likely, again, this was a roll to December. So the question is, again, why someone taking what looks like a very long position in Zoom, particularly, leveraged again to such an extent. And if we look at the chart here, you can also see that it missed earnings and dropped quite a bit, and it's just recently popped up just a little bit. And what's most likely going on here is that we just saw that ARKK, which is Cathie Wood's very popular tech ETF, is buying Zoom now that it's dropped on earnings, using this as an entry point. That's a pretty big support for these stocks. That's a big fund, has a lot of money in it. So this could be related to that. It could be directly related to that. Maybe this is a way for some funds to get exposure to it, or it could just be maybe some institutional traders saying, all right, well, ARK's in, so that's going to keep a floor on this, and we're going to most likely it'll bounce back to some extent. And so just an interesting thing to look at. It's an expensive trade to do on your own here. I'll show you. If we look at December, so those 280 calls, that's $3,300 for one, but you could go out of the money. You could there's other ways you could go about doing this. You could do a call spread. You don't have to go as far out. So there's different things you could do, but still, even so, $3,000 some dollars is a lot cheaper than whatever the 28,000 you'd have to spend to buy 100. So the leverage obviously helps a lot with options. You have a time limit, but in this case, this is all the way out to December. So there is some reasonable amount of time for it to climb. So interesting trade. If you want to learn more about options trading in general, I have a class coming up this month. Very excited about this. My options master class. There should be a link on this page. You can check it out. You get a subscription to Option Flow Trader Pro and this great 2-week class that I'm really looking forward to. So check it out if you get a chance.